YouTube proverb, I am because we are, is the foundation of the ACBN YouTube channel. Tap in for all of our remarkable content and ecosystem mobilization through the phenomenal practitioners and thought leaders we engage on this channel. In the words of Adrienne Marie Brown, things are not getting worse, they are getting uncovered. We must hold each other tight to pull back the veil. Get ready for another amazing ACBN powered interview.
All right. Welcome, Carla. We greatly appreciate your leadership. See, we begin all things by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we're on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So, it's such a pleasure to be here with you today to learn more about Just Like Family. So I have about 5 or 6 questions where you'll get an opportunity to let us know what's going on within the org. And I think I'd like to start off by learning more about your origin story and the origin story of Just Like Family and how you are disrupting multiple ecosystems with its development.
Oh, what I love about this is that actually I'm creating a new origin story. So it started from the founder of Just Like Family in 2010, created a home care business because he couldn't find adequate at the level that he expected for his mother. He didn't see that in his marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And so he decided that he had to, like many great entrepreneurs, he had to actually start it by himself. And so that's where Just Like Family came from. He wanted it to be a care business that actually cared just like family without the drama. So really what was beautiful about the network of franchise partners that he had is that he deeply cared about their empathy and their own why.
Right.
And so when they ended up buying, it's because they equally cared about people as much as profit. So even though it's a for-profit business, it's really rooted in the why and empathy and putting people first. In fact, he had many other private equity firms reach out to him. I mean, home care is a hot business. So lots of other people wanted to buy it, but he said no.
Mm-hmm.
He actually looked at, I need someone who has the same values as I have.
Right.
So the way that we found out about Just Like Family and why we were able to create our own origin story from this is that one of a United Church, Broadview United Church, bought the Victoria franchise location back in 2020 at this point.
Okay.
And when they did that, they grew it at such a level because they had the social capital. They also had put people first. And they did such a success story and became one of the top 3 franchise partners so quickly that the founder said, wow, this is owned by a church that's values aligned.
Right.
This is actually grown in this way. They have grit. They've actually shown me that social capital is really powerful and important.
Mm-hmm.
And so he reached out to us and said, would you buy the whole thing? So a little church said, no, we can't. But I'm going to reach out to someone who knows a little bit about impact investing. And they reached out to me, who had been at the time the director of innovation. I reached out to 187 charities to consider to buy this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Babe Ruth. Like, you don't talk about your strikeouts. Like, I don't talk about the 187. So I don't talk about the 184 who said no to me. I talk about the 3 who said yes.
Yeah.
And so we ended up buying this with over 50% owned by charities. And when you take this model, it's the first social acquisition of a coalition of charities. Like, individual charities have purchased before.
Right.
Never together. Doing things together is so much more difficult at the get-go, but you get to go so much further in the long run.
Right.
And so when we did this, we acquired it last May, May 1st, 2022. So coming up to our 1-year anniversary. And they said everything has to be different. Carly, you don't have to do it all at once, but you can't go into anything with existing assumptions.
Right.
So when we do a theory of change, you would list your assumptions, and we have. And so every time the answer to us is, oh, it's always been done that way, like in franchising. Oh, this is how you do franchise development. This is how you onboard franchises. This is how you select them. This is how you treat them. All of that's based on existing assumptions. And we basically have decided to throw that all out the window and put people first.
So can you articulate the Just Like Family mission in vision?
Yeah, so our vision really is to rethink aging. And we think that by changing the narrative around aging and to rethink aging, that does have a ripple effect. Of course, you have to rethink care because they're hand in hand. But really, that's obvious to us in the care business. But so rethink aging or changing the narrative around aging is really the goal. And we find that there's so many organizations and people who that's what they care about. And how do we do that? Well, it's really putting people first every step of the way. It's not just our clients, it's their families as well. We've completely reshifted from having a target market, like every for-profit has a target market. We do a stakeholder analysis. We don't treat anything as, black or white. It's literally like an individual. No, it's everyone. What's the community? Who are the partners? Who else is part of the care team? Who does this impact? We actually know that the primary caregiver as part of a family, 30% of them actually have reduced health while caring for someone.
Oh, wow.
So this doesn't just impact someone aging in place. This impacts their entire family.
Yeah, absolutely. So how important are social acquisitions and social innovation in these times that we live in?
The times that we live in, things aren't working, and everyone finally knows that. I think some of the studies have shown that like 65% of Canadians are dissatisfied with the existing political and economic systems. That's basically a rebellion. It's not working, and capitalism in the way of being a win-lose is not working. It needs to be shifted. And so social acquisitions, social innovations is just any sort of change. What's really phenomenal about a social acquisition is that the change happens at an even more rapid pace. So instead of starting grassroots and taking 5, 10, 20 years to hit your expectations, with us, we acquired this business, and within 3 months it grew by 20%.
Oh, amazing.
So wow, to already be at such a bigger level. So we started last year, we had 29 partners. We now have 36.
Oh my goodness. That's
so by the end of this year, we'll be just under 50. Next year, we'll probably double in size again. And so you're just thinking, like, if we had started from the grassroots, because Just Like Family started in 2010, think about how long it took for their first franchise, which was 2018.
Yes.
But because we bought it in 2022, we can keep on going, but it's just exponential on a base. And so why is it important? Well, everything we do is a win-win, right? So now it's so much bigger impact. It's so much quicker for us. We don't have to wait. The speed of change that's required today can be accomplished through social acquisitions in a way that social innovations can't possibly catch up. By the time they do, like, that ship has sailed. There's just too much urgency today.
Absolutely. So what inspires you most about the current model at Just Like Family?
Oh no, that's a tough one. There's so many things to choose from. I like the possibilities of what it can do, but I think the word for me that was just popping out, which is maybe a shocking word to use, is love.
Okay.
Love, just as soon as you asked me, I have so much love for my team, so much love and grace for my entire network. I think that franchising originally was developed at the heart of it, that someone created a great idea that served people in their neighborhood.
Right.
And then what ended up happening is they were like, well, imagine if this great thing I've created, be it a cafe, it doesn't matter what it is, like McDonald's, like, it doesn't matter. Whatever was great in their neighborhood, like McDonald's is one of the best first-time employers and has like raised up so many people, right? So it started with like, and imagine if this was everywhere and more places in this way. But I think that over time, it became how do we use other people's money to grow? I think that me learning about franchising and realizing like that's not who we are. We're actually going to go to the roots of why franchise even started, about people first. And my team, when we onboard them, we always say to them, your job's the best, because every day, every interaction you have with any of our franchisees, you're helping their dream grow. You're helping, like every interaction is making their dream bigger and making their impact in their neighborhood bigger. And we actually train new franchise partners and say, it's unethical to not talk about this. It's immoral not to tell people about just like family home care, because you know you make a difference in people's lives.
Right.
So everything I just said, I think comes to love, because I see my franchise partners grow. I see my team really, they glow when they've done something in an interaction where they've seen the change.
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. So what are some of the challenges or barriers that you face in your work at Just Like Family, and how do you and your team work to overcome them?
Well, there's lots. We're always learning. I actually found it really funny. I went to the CFA, the Canadian Franchise Association National Convention, and I told them some of the things that I had done in my first year, like buying, we bought back a franchise. We ended up doing our, certain things that they said to me, no franchisor would ever do what you did in their first year. And so I think the challenge is continuing to stay brave. And I look back at the things that I didn't know a year ago, and I laugh. I'm like, should I have even, done it? Where we are is fantastic. So 100%. But what I didn't know a year ago is frightening. But it's staying brave, staying open. I think that they're in the franchise system, people are very collaborative and they share a lot of information. It's quite nice. It's beautiful, actually. But in the larger for-profit ecosystem, people don't know how to partner, specifically in healthcare. And so I think it's like continuing to be brave, but part of that is continuing to step up again. When someone doesn't want to partner with us or when we're turned down, it is that ongoing grit. And that doesn't go away. And it's really tough when you've done this for all the right reasons. Like we acquired this in the right way, and all the decisions that we make are because we think that that's the right way to do it, not because it's the easy way. And yeah, there are easier ways to do it, but we've just decided to stay brave and to keep picking ourselves back up.
I really like that. So what is your ultimate goal with Just Like Family, and what does success look like to you and your colleagues?
Okay, well now, can I share all of that? Of course I can. I really do feel as though we're disrupting franchising. So every interaction that we have, working with charities as referral partners instead of franchise brokers, which would be not going to franchise shows, not going to places where the typical franchise owner would go or what we think they look like. That's not what we want our franchise partners to be. So disrupting all of that, disrupting home care, just raising the bar of what quality looks like, and continuing to talk about that. We know that our competitors pay about 20–25% less per hour than we do to our caregivers. And just how do we raise the bar in every single place? So talking loudly, letting people know that there is an alternative. I'm excited about other charities knowing about social acquisitions and buying something themselves. And if I'm going to be honest, what I'm really excited is about our next social acquisition. So this to me is all the learnings that we have is the tip of the iceberg. There are other franchise systems, other businesses out there that we're now prepared for, much better prepared for. And I think that this is going to be the trailblazing way, and it's going to become normalized over the next 5 to 10 years. And I hope our example actually helps others to become brave with us, because I don't want to do this alone. That's why we're a franchise network.
Yes. So is Just Like Family planning to expand internationally or just remain?
Yeah, no, so we still have a couple quite a few territories still in Eastern Canada, Ontario, and then we're going to be entering the States in 2024. Very excited, actually. Our first employee is starting in May in Florida to begin our navigation of the American system for franchising and home care specifically. Yeah, so coming soon to the US. And of course, we'll keep on looking to grow. I think what we offer, I do believe from what we've seen, is we're going to be the first home care business to actually differentiate based on prestige, on premium and high quality. We haven't seen anyone differentiate right now, and we have all of the building blocks to be the preeminent home care business in North America, at least.
Oh, great. So are there any franchise owners, regions, or JLF initiatives that you're excited or that are exciting you that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, so I guess there's two big things that, I mean, beyond all the expansion and the normal franchising things, even though I don't think we're so normal, we are able to look at things really differently. So we are looking to expand into rural. So what does it look like? All of our best practices, all of the IT and back end and marketing processes, all of our due diligence and HR pieces. Could we actually do a matching program in a rural context, but not looking like the existing franchise system? So is it more of a licensing piece? So we're already building partners into rural to investigate this, to do our first pilot. We're speaking with our lawyers to set it up and structure it. But of course, just imagine having a home care business at this type of level in Halliburton, in Temiskaming, in places that maybe you don't know. The other thing that we're really excited about is some of the adjacencies of this work, because we have large infrastructure and we are for profit. So we are making money. What becomes exciting is how do we use that? So not only do our charities get their dividends that then have ripple effects in terms of mission, but how do we do our marketing? We have two things that we're doing right now. One is we've actually created a seniors hub calendar of virtual events. So pre-pandemic, people, shut-ins didn't have any programming. And there's obviously a lot of fear when there's a new outbreak of COVID or whatever it is. I mean, outbreaks could be multiple things. And so now more seniors know how to use Zoom and other technologies. So we can actually do virtual programming in a way that wasn't capable before. But instead of us doing it, we're just curating it. So we're working with libraries, we're working with seniors associations, churches, temples, mosques, doesn't matter. We're actually starting to get more virtual programming with multiple languages, as if people do have Alzheimer's or dementia, they often revert to their mother tongue. And so having virtual programming only in English and French is not sufficient. And so a normal business wouldn't actually invest in this. But for us, this makes sense. So spending the capacity to build up an entire curated virtual programming for shut-ins and people who have fear, but to still not have social isolation is a huge project for us. The other one we're looking at that I'm super excited about is creating our own Just Like Family publishing house. So we're in people's homes almost every day. Many of our caregivers actually have various backgrounds. One of my caregivers has a journalistic background. Wouldn't it be neat if we actually supported seniors with their memoirs? What happens if we created a whole line of dementia books? Maybe even people write their own stories, and as they progress, that they actually get to read their own stories to help them in their memory. There can be so many other opportunities of that, and we've been speaking to the Alzheimer's Society to actually donate the proceeds of all of that effort. So there's some interesting things that we can do with our power and privilege that we have in the structure that we have, fully recognizing it and staying true to our roots.
That's beautiful. I love the, creating memoirs, because it's usually at the end of your life that you want to leave something for your family or your kids. And it creates a perfect opportunity to work with seniors on putting their life's story on paper for their loved ones. That's fantastic. Great. So do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action?
I think probably be brave. I think the biggest thing for me is that I didn't know that what we were doing was impossible. in the social acquisition, from the moment that we signed our letter of intent to purchase this, it was last January 21st.
Right.
We ended up doing all of the due diligence, the business planning, raising the funds, landing private debt because financial institutions couldn't move fast enough. And we ended up waiving all conditions in like 2 months and a week. And we ended up fully acquiring the business in 113 days.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that that was impossible. So anyone who has a financial background, investment banker, anyone who's done mergers and acquisitions, that's impossible. And especially when you think that we had charitable boards to deal with at the same time. So, but we still did it. And so I think that if you think something's impossible, it is. But if you think it's possible, then you're also right. And if there's anything, if you can use this story of doing something trailblazing that maybe stretches yourself. I mean, for me, making an impact and making this type of difference is my rally cry.
That's beautiful. Yes, we so appreciate your time and remarkable leadership, Carla. As we close, and I guess we'll close the way we began this interview by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we're on, and we'll also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all of those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So stay brave, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Yes.